Turn that frown upside down. Amazon is primed for lawsuits. Offices, we don't need no stinking offices. These stories and much more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
Today's episode of MSP Dispatch is brought to you by Cyber Drains Capture the Flag, a CTF oriented at system administrators and engineers instead of cybersecurity experts. This event is designed to test the skills of everyone in the MSP space so that they can show off what they can do. Beginning February 14th, 2023 with no cost to enter, anyone anywhere in the world is welcome to join, up to 1,000 players. And to get an idea of the amazing prizes up for grabs, take a look at last year's awards, including a streamer starter pack, a PS5, a Nintendo Switch, and thousands of dollars in Amazon gift cards, plus more. Be sure to visit ctf.cyberdrain.com to register today.
Good morning and welcome to the February 7th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Good, Ray. It's February 7th. February 7th.
February. Yes.
February. Wow. 2023? Like I'm still writing checks for like 1987. I don't know.
I mean, check. Who uses checks?
How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. So, like, true story, we went to the bank today to go open another business account because, I'm serially opening companies. And we have checks from when I first launched the IT company, Orsini IT. And I printed 500 checks at the time. This was back in 2010, 2011, something like that. And we still have like a good 50 checks left. And Michelle finally asked me, she's like, what do I do with these? I'm like, shred them. Like we don't send out checks, and I'm not going to send out checks. I'm too vain, to send out checks with my, the old company name. So
speaking of vain, 001.
Yeah. So I got my shirts, with my custom monogram. Yeah, thank you. Figured I'd start it off with the pink. I love the pink.
Do you have, are those your initials on your cuffs?
Those are my initials on my cuffs. Yeah. With suit and got vest. You know what it is now? Rob Ray's doing the circuit like we talked about with PAX 8, and he always dresses extremely well. And he's a larger gentleman, right? He's not svelte like you, right? So, and I look at him like, damn, he dresses really well. Like if I'm going to go to shows with him, like where he's there, I can't be the laggard. I have to be dressed nicely. So this is complete Rob Ray. Rob, R-A-Y. We both have 3-letter names, so I'm going with that.
I like it. I like the inspiration. You're inspired by someone or something else to be better, and you actually do it. I love that.
Isn't that the whole idea? To raise each other up, right? And speaking of, friend of the show, Paco LeBron, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Paco LeBron, CEO of Prodigy Techs, him and Rick run MSP Unplugged. They do TechCon Unplugged, the conference in Chicago. They have their podcasts. Really good guys. Absolutely wonderful guys. ChannelPro just recognized Paco as the annual Peer of the Year award. And I thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to say congratulations to Paco. He's a good friend, fellow Latino like us. And, just wanted to say congrats, Paco. It's nice to see you recognized, man.
Paco. What other way? That's good. That's the Mexican side.
I think that's the best way to get into the news.
Let's get into the news.
In my top story in partner news, Kaseya calls new partner program just one of many investments in the MSP success. Written by Rich Freeman for ChannelPro Network. Kaseya and Datto Global Partner Program, introduced this week, offers something for both Datto and Kaseya partners. Datto partners get access to Partner Days events, cash, and prizes, while Kaseya partners get spending-based rewards, 24/7 support, and more. Program partners earn credits towards Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Blue Diamond status. Blue Diamond Elite will be for Kaseya's top 2% of partners. Kaseya has doubled MDF funding and added a marketing automation platform and M&A resources. The company also launched the Remote IT and Security Management Program, which teaches customer service skills and product basics in Kaseya's IT Complete platform to IT undergraduates. According to Dan Tomaszewski, Kaseya EVP of Channel, IT Complete members in the partner program will have a chance to hire these people in the future. He added that the company will roll out more benefits as it becomes more integrated. So, Tony, you see these investments in partner programs, and it's kind of common. Each vendor wants to invest in their partner programs, partner enablement. That's been a thing for a long, long time. It strikes me that it's odd that they still have Datto and Kaseya listed separately, despite being part of the same program, and they call out benefits for each separately. Am I reading too deep into that, or what's your initial thoughts on it?
I think it's a great question. I am a little concerned that it will at some point consolidate, and here's the reason why. If you're going to try something, it's best to try two things, and maybe one ends up being innocuous and one ends up being effective. So maybe that's what they're in the process of doing right now. Maybe they're trying to figure out what is the most effective X, whatever the X is, that they can implement, and then that becomes a part of the congealed program at the end. That's one scenario. That's in a brief thought. However, are they making this too complicated? Is this going to end up being a Fibonacci sequence that you have to unravel and understand which benefits are for who and why, and what about this? Is it contradicting that? I don't know. Let's unpack it, Ray. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah. I hadn't looked at it from the complication perspective, but you're absolutely right. I mean, one of the problems is, and I'm not calling out Cisco by themselves. I'm using them because they're one of the biggest ones who definitely have various multitudes and multitudes of MDF programs. They don't just have one. Between Cisco itself having multiple, and then you have the Meraki products, you have their other lines. It is what it is. And that's one of those beasts that, you never know what to do. The MDF is available, you just don't know how to get it. And it's not just a Cisco thing. I used to work with AT&T, who AT&T would give you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in MDF and IDF. And it was such a nightmare to navigate. Some stuff was 50%, some stuff was 70%, some stuff was 22 3/4 and 1.5%. It was nuts. And what ends up happening is we ended up not using it. And from talking to other vendors, that's a significant challenge. It's not a matter of having the MDF, it's enabling partners so they can use it easily. And I don't know if there's a good example. Have you seen, on the opposite side, have you seen any good examples of easy partner enablement MDF programs?
Well, I would challenge that. That's analogous to engineered obsolescence in some degree. I mean, maybe they're overcomplicating it because they don't want to give away the free money. And for those that are working so hard at doing it, that rule of thumb applies to where if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. But once you understand something, I actually understand the mechanics of it, how it all fits together, you can control it or manipulate it. Well, if you understand the mechanics enough to navigate through their wildly and overly complicated process for earning these MDF funds, then you're probably going to earn to use them the most effective way possible, as opposed to someone else that's whimsidaisical about it and just, hey, give me the money and maybe we'll buy some alcohol with it. I'm just throwing that out there, but MDF, there's complete firms, their full-time job is to extrapolate funds from vendors, just like there are grant writers out there. And finding these funds is not an easy process, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
No, I agree with you. And the MSPs that are watching this and listening to it, because remember, we're on podcast as well as on YouTube. The MSPs that are listening to this or watching this, let us know in the comments. Let us know in our Discord if you have a good example of an easy to use MDF program, or your nightmare stories, and we'll see if we bring them up on the next episode. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have a company that's made everything super, super, super easy, and they're still in hot water.
I don't know about the definition of super, super, super easy is the same for me as it is for you, but coming straight from siliconangle.com, the FTC could file an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. Sources are saying that the lawsuit could be filed within months. However, the sources added that the timing of the litigation is still subject to change. It's reportedly possible for the FTC to opt out of the lawsuit. Sources didn't specify the expected focus of the lawsuit, but they detailed that the FTC has been scrutinizing multiple aspects of Amazon's business operations in recent years. Among others, FTC officials are said to have evaluated, quote, how it treats outside resellers, end quote, on its e-commerce marketplace. The FTC is also scrutinizing Amazon's Prime membership program. In the last year, the FTC filed a lawsuit to block Meta Platform from acquiring Within Unlimited Incorporated. The agency also is suing Meta for allegedly engaging in unfair business practices to strengthen its market position. And in December, the FTC sued to block Microsoft Corp from completing its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard Inc. for $68.7 billion. Ray, if we look at this really quickly, is the FTC stopping business, or is the FTC actually doing something positive for the betterment of the common people, of you and I? What are your thoughts on this?
So what I was saying, my eloquent response while I was on mute was, I'm going to pretend it was eloquent because you couldn't hear it. Was cocaine? No, what it was AT&T, right? FTC stepped in. The bell got too big, got way too big, and they broke it up into all these little bells. And what are they today? It's one big monster, massive beast.
It's two, maybe three, 2.5.
Did you know there's only 13 tier 1 telcos in the entire globe, and AT&T is one of them? So yeah, the baby bell thing doesn't fly with me. Yeah. So yes, I remember the FTC going after Microsoft, as we all do. And I wonder in this case, I'm anti-monopoly. I'm absolutely anti-monopoly. But at the same time, as a business person, I'm pro Walt Disney is a good example. He owned, there's good and bad with Walt Disney. I'm not arguing that. But the good on the business side was he owned not only the experience, but the entire ecosystem, all the logistics around it. He bought the land, he bought the fabric makers, he bought the textiles, he bought everything, and he owned it. He owned the town, for gosh sakes. This guy, I mean, talking about owning, and Amazon has done that. Amazon has built an amazing compute platform. They've built an amazing logistics platform to which now you can go watch Dave Sobel's Business to Tech podcast, where he talks about how you can now use Amazon logistics for your own business, not to sell Amazon products, to use their logistics system. And honestly, if that's bringing us better pricing and it's bringing us better service, where I don't have to guess if USPS, and I apologize if anybody out there works for USPS, but I don't have to guess where my package is or when it's going to be delivered. It's hard to argue with that. And when I see the government stepping in, I don't know if they should.
That's my question. Is the FTC doing something positive? Because you have arguments both ways, and your argument about the bells, the baby bells, I would actually counter that and say there was a brief period where if you look at a variety of the bells that spun off, and then they in turn spun off even more, and then they end up reconsolidating it. Is there just they have to reimpose the rules, the laws, because there's a difference between laws and governance. And I think what happened is they created laws briefly, but then the day-to-day governance of these organizations wasn't really adhered to best practices. And what happened is they just reconsolidated. So maybe they need to break them up again and recreate laws that says X. I'm just throwing noodles against the wall, people. I'm seeing what sticks. I would love everyone's opinion on this because I'm
No, I'm just telling him, hit the comments while you're doing the,
what am I meaning in the comments? No, I would love everyone's input on this because, I mean, let's talk about the big guys. Is it stifling competition? Are patents out there stifling competition because they're good for 50 years, but then they can go for another 50 years? Should they be 5 years? Trademark policies. There's so many things that I think are not allowing the evolution of technology to occur. And I believe that the FTC is doing their best to assist. I just don't think it's very effective.
So when you say brief, are you talking brief as in like the amount of times humans have inhabited the planet over the entire lifetime of the planet? Or are you talking brief like Florida winters? Like that's
Somewhere in between, like 30 years, like so for
30
example,
years.
all right, like 40 years. So when the bells, broke right now,
Yeah.
3/4 of the audience is saying, what, there was one bell? What's a bell? What does a bell do?
And while
You know
the
what?
audience questions exactly how old we are, maybe we should get into the next story.
I was just going to say, let's talk about how the ownership was all at one location and they own everything where you worked. And I believe you are talking about that.
So in my third top story in the business section, and a story that will surprise no one, tech's grip on largest office leases loosens, written by Sammy Sparber for Axios. Up from 12% in 2021, finance and insurance companies now claim 25% of the top 100 leases in the US from 36 in 2021. Tech firms now only hold 17 of the 100 largest leases in the country. Remote work has enabled tech to embrace work from home. However, the industries that signed major leases last year prove they want to remain in great locations and offer employees a good working environment. According to CBRE's Global President for Advisory and Transaction Services, Whitley Collins, a recession could slow leasing, but the need to provide offices that support the future of work will continue to drive leasing activity. Tony, insurance, finance are using office space, tech, or like hold my beer and we're going to go work from anywhere, literally anywhere. I have one employee that she was in Egypt while she was working. I didn't find out until her background changed. It was pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Do you think are we Microsofting this where the tech world is releasing the courier? We're adopting work from home way ahead of the rest of the globe? Or are finance and insurance just behind us? Or are they or is this a case of my market is different, quote unquote?
Why isn't it just cyclical? I mean, at this point, let's circle back decades and decades and decades ago where everybody tried starting something from their garage or from their parents' garage. And that's where all the little startups came from. And then everything consolidated into a singular office space where there were things called mainframes where you had to be there. And then tandem computers came along and the PC came along to get rid of the mainframe. And then the Macintosh came along and it slowly allowed people to do work from home per se. But then what's happened is that's expanded and diluted the centralized workforce to working from anywhere. COVID and the advent of the internet being anything from anywhere has just solidified, it's calcified that ability. But what happens after that? Why aren't we just going to watch everything recontract back to a centralized location? And it's not going to be for everyone. But why can't it be for some? And if that's the case, then they have a corner on the market. And I think there's a cycle to almost everything. There's pattern recognition and data training that we all have the ability to do in some capacity. I believe this is going to come back in a very, very positive way for those firms investing in real estate. I mean, we came from there. Why can't we go back there? Maybe I'm looking at it a little bit too much, but I think the population is growing, the pie is growing, and I think the slice that has a consolidated workforce and location will also go back to a growth period, even though it was forced to constrict with COVID. What are your thoughts on this?
So Matt Frox in the green room brings up a good point, saying finance is always behind. Which makes sense when you talk about risk-averse industries, risk-averse verticals. Finance and insurance are absolutely risk-averse. There's no question about it. Well, yes, fintech is ridiculously well-financed, no pun intended. They are definitely slow to move to the latest and greatest tech, right? They're more about building up the thing that they know works and then just going whole hog on it. And that includes office space. I have to imagine that also includes office space. Whereas tech, I mean, technologists like you and me, we talk all the time. How many episodes have we opened talking about, this new tech, this toy you're playing with versus I'm playing with? I have a Raspberry Pi right here. I mean, these are the things we do. You know what I mean? So I can see how tech is saying we're done with office space. Let me see if I can say this better. So the thinking used to be, and I'm guilty of this as well, 2014, 2015, office space was seen as a benefit to the employee. We have a game room, we have some foosball, we have, because football is the devil, we have some arcades, we have a PS5, we have lounge chairs. There may or may not be the recliners that we use on Tech Bar today. And that was a thing. But nowadays, the benefits to the employer are more about quality of life and what they do outside of work. So all the fun and the games and the lunches and all this stuff, employees are getting a little smarter and saying, just pay me more and let me live my life to the best of my ability. That's a benefit. Not, can I play ping pong in the office? And I can't say I disagree with that. I'm absolutely 100%.
I was summoned. I heard my name mentioned and just wanted to say that I moved to working for a company in Florida. So I have my office. My office is my messy living room. There you go, folks. You can see it for real. And there has been a trade-off, but it's been a trade-off that's led to a lot of benefits. And I'm just going to throw something out coming from New York. Square footage, space in a building. You're thinking, I don't know what square footage is where you guys are located, but when you start looking at things that are $36, $42, $51 per square foot per month, the conversation changes very quickly.
Yeah. And when they're triple net and when, you're paying for maintenance and you got AC that shuts off at 4 p.m. because you're sharing it with 3 other neighbors. Absolutely. And this happy coincidence, and actually, if I could keep you on screen just a few minutes longer, this happy coincidence where we talk about, our company, we talk about, welcome to the family, and we're very much into that. But if you were in the office, I'd never see your mom walk by in the background. I never have a chance to talk with your mom. I never had a chance to see your dog. And I have that same story with all of the staff. You know what I mean? Where I'm more in tune with their personal lives because they're working from home. You get what I'm saying? So,
hey, Ma! Ray says hello!
I don't know if you heard, but she said, hey, Ray. See, there you go.
That's awesome.
All right, Ma, I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate the hell out of your mom leading us. I can't think of a better way to get into the notables, man.
Oh, you said I have to come off screen. Okay. Sorry, Ray. Sorry about that.
Jumping into my first notable. This is actually a fun job, everyone. Straight from bleepingcomputer.com, the Microsoft 365 trial is blocking access to Windows 10 desktops. Windows 10 users are reportedly being blocked from accessing their desktops by a full-screen trial offer for the Microsoft 365 Productivity Suite, formerly Office 365. These offers are titled Access Granted, we're giving you a free trial of the Microsoft 365 family, are being pushed via full-screen notifications that give users no choice but to enter their payment information to activate the trial. After clicking No Thanks, the user gets sent to a Confirm Your Payment option screen, where the only option left is to start the trial or buy later. To avoid receiving this offer, you should start the installation process without an internet connection, which will allow you to create a local account if you don't want to link your desktop to your Microsoft account. And on my second notable from TheVerge.com, computer manufacturer Dell is set to cut about 6,600 jobs, representing 5% of its global workforce, according to a report from Bloomberg. The computing giant experienced a 37% decline in PC shipments in Q4 of 2022 compared to the previous year. Following the layoffs, the number of global Dell employees will be at its lowest figure in 6 years, according to Bloomberg, with around 39,000 fewer roles compared to 165,000 full-time roles reported in January 2020.
In my first notable mention, Comet backup overcharges. On February 2nd, a Redditor posted that Comet backup charges credit card 21 times, amounting to $4,000. On the same day, Comet backup posted on the same thread that it had identified the billing issue that maxed out the customer's credit cards and was currently organizing a refund for those who were overcharged. Several hours later, Comet updated its users that the refund was on its way and affected users had been updated via email. In my second notable, Netflix rescinds password crackdown. This is an update from our previous story on Netflix password sharing changes. Netflix recently made it clear that there won't be any new rules on sharing accounts. Confusion started when help articles written for one country was mistakenly published for other countries. The situation was also complicated by the fact that Netflix Help Center allowed you to quickly toggle between information for different countries using a currently viewing information for tool that lets you choose a dropdown for different country names. Unnamed sources have confirmed that U.S. call centers for Netflix had been trained for months on the new practices and referred to the stated mistake as a cover-up. In my resource of the week, MITRE releases tool to design cyber resilient systems, as written on darkreading.com. Cyber attacks are increasing, so organizations are shifting to resilience to maintain essential business functions during and after an attack and to recover quickly. MITRE has released the Cyber Resiliency Engineering Framework, or CREF, Navigator, a free visualization tool to help engineers design cyber resilient systems. It follows NIST SP 800-60 standards, integrating MITRE attack techniques and mitigations to help engineers understand system vulnerabilities. The 4 key principles of CREF are anticipate, withstand, recover, and adapt. More information is available on the link below. In our feedback on the YouTubes, Jason Morales writes, TikTok should be banned not only because of the security issues, but because it's a huge time waster. This will significantly improve productivity across the board. Yes, but where would I get my Red Panda videos? And Carrie Wagner says, fellow freak, I have Ziply and TDS fiber at home, referring to our episode last week where I described myself as having multiple internet connections when complaining about the Netflix changes.
And there are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. Tomorrow, on February 8th through the 9th, an in-person event, Cyber Insurance Bootcamp, presented by Bering McKinley in Chicago, Illinois. On February 9th through the 10th, another in-person event, SMB Tech Fest Q1 in Anaheim, California. And finally, on February 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Understanding Endpoint Detection and Response, EDR, presented by Huntress. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week, we have tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, learn how to communicate cybersecurity programs that generate demand on a partner-first webinar featuring Jimmy Hatzel of QuickPass. On February 16th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Tech Bar opens its doors for a Valentine's special featuring Cynthia Schreiner. And finally, the MSP Dispatch every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hey everyone, it's Martin here, admin, CEO, and co-founder of the MSP Geek community, and I want to see you at our conference, MSP GeekCon 2023. It is the premier conference that focuses on the career path of a technician, where you get to own both your personal and your technical skill set, and how to set yourself and your teams up for success. Join us in Orlando on May 21st to the 23rd. Come grow with us, and we'll see you there.
So how'd you like today's show? If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit it 3 times. And if you want to hear more, go and hit the subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Did you know we also have a Discord where we post stories all week? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we'll cover. Also, we have some killer merch. We have some coffee cups. We have some tumblers. We have all the best things. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have any questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail 833-MSP-Network. And that's all she wrote for today's episode. Thank you, Tony, for your insight, for your wisdom. Thank you, Matt, for your hot pockets. What an amazing episode, as always.
Always. Everyone out there, be safe, stay educated.
Take care, everybody.
been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
Partner program. Oh, we needed a blooper. All right. According to Don, he's Don Juan now. I'm sure he'd appreciate it, actually. All right.
You are on mute. You are on mute. Mute, 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 mute.
So
it makes me happy. You don't understand.
I know.
Like it's like Christmas morning again. I get like the little like the flutters in my stomach. I'm like, do I say something? I have to say something. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
And I know our friend of the show, Kerry Wagner, loves it when I lose my shit, when I go mute. I know he loves it. But the problem is it's counterbalanced by the fact that you get so happy when I get muted that I'm like, I don't know if I should just continue with it. You know what I mean? In 2021, finance and insurance companies now claim 25% of the top 100 leases from U.S. Sorry, that was not English at all. That's entirely my fault. According to CBRE's global president for advisory and transaction services, Whitley Collins, a recession. Struggling with words today. Sorry about that.